My name is Ross Noble. I graduated in 2006 from the LINT course and I studied French and Spanish. I was very lucky in finding my first job. An ex-Heriot-Watt graduate sent an email to the department about his company that were looking for people at the time, and I applied in April of my last year, and before I sat my final exams had a firm job offer. When I graduated, I moved to work in a small translation agency based in Madrid. I stayed there for about 8 months and then moved on to 2 other companies in Madrid. The first was a technology company with a small in-house translation department, and the second was the leading Spanish IT and computer games translation company, also based in Madrid. Having a degree in translation and interpreting is a good start, but you shouldn't expect to be up to the standards of a professional translator yet. You won't have had to deal with the quantity of work, the variety of documents you can be asked to translate. Things that you probably don't know that companies even use or need will be sent your way if you choose to work as a translator, and that's going to take time to adjust to. You will also find it hard, if you're anything like me, to adjust to losing student life and having to move on to being a productive part of society, as I was told by people at the time. It can be challenging, it can be depressing to lose all that freedom and that spare time, it can be overwhelming, but it can also be very rewarding. I would not suggest hanging around the UK. I moved abroad straight after uni. I liked living in Spain, I missed living in Spain, and I enjoyed very much moving back to Spain and then later to Germany. I think that you can be earning just as much money on the continent, especially in countries such as Scandinavia, Germany, France, Benelux, as you would here, but you have the added benefit of improving your language as you pick up vital experience as a translator and getting to know other parts of the continent that you might like more than living here in the UK. In any event, I would suggest getting an in-house traineeship first or internship for a couple of months and then hopefully getting a job with that company or another company on the books. 2 or 3 years in-house is invaluable experience in what translation companies expect, improving how much work you do on a daily basis, improving the quality of that work, and getting to know how things work, the ins and outs of the translation industry, before moving on to freelance work. And when you do make the plunge for freelance work, I would suggest combining the two at the same time. It will mean working evenings and weekends, but that means that once you do stop working in-house, you're not going to have your bank balance emptied out for 6 months until you get work through the door. The translation market is becoming increasingly formalised. There's not so many fly by the seat of your pants work going on anymore. The ISOs in translation are very important. Companies are very proud to have them on their website, have them on their stationery, and they can only do that if they're working with trained translators. So having a degree in translation is a huge advantage. If you speak a couple of languages that happen to be extremely needed in a company, I don't know if you're the only person they know that speaks Farsi, for example, you might be able to slip through the cracks, but if you have the main European languages, there are so many people that can speak some of that language, a little bit of Italian, a little bit of Spanish, that translation companies are very interested in people who studied the language and studied it with translation or with translation and interpreting. So having a formal qualification and degree is something that will stop your CV ending up in a bin. It will get a company's attention. Coming from Heriot-Watt was particularly interesting working on the continent in that you're a rare commodity, a native English speaker located in the country, improving their language day to day in the country with a British qualification from one of Britain's better translation schools was something that translation companies based in Spain and based in Germany took very seriously and were very pleased to see. Heriot-Watt is a small university, it's perhaps not very well known outside of Scotland amongst the general public, but translation companies know that we're here. Translation companies know where your degree's from, know that if you've got a good honours degree in translation and interpreting from Heriot-Watt University, that means something. It will open doors for you around the continent. The main key skill for a translator, both in-house and as a freelancer, is getting rid of redundancy. You don't want to be doing work twice or 3 times. If you've translated one contract, you need to be able to spend the extra half hour needed to take notes on vocab you've looked up so that you have that to hand. It might have taken you an hour to find something. You don't want to spend that hour again if you can have it to hand. You have to be organised as well, both in-house and as a freelancer, but especially as a freelancer, because of the invoicing you're going to have to do at the end of the month. If customers come back to you querying an invoice saying you didn't do this work, or we don't have any note of it, or we've lost the reference, which happens more than you would imagine, you have to be able to send back the email where they sent you the work. So organisation is very important. I would also say that CAT tools are now indispensable. You can't get away with not having Trados. You can't get away with not knowing how to use it. You also have to be willing to learn other CAT tools such as Logoport in Transit or Deja Vu if the client asks for that. And you have to have a grip, at least a basic grip, on accounting and Excel.